Michael, thank you for your time again today.
You're welcome.
I know you've been involved transporting people to and from and taking food over and all of that to the center, and so you've seen that aspect, but I'm really looking for more information about what you're hearing on the street, what connections with, because Del Rio, Acuna, they're so connected. I know that a lot of people here know what's going on in Acuna. What's the latest? What are you hearing?
Well, my wife works with, basically all the ladies she works with live in Acuna. And what they're saying is that there's hundreds of African males now in Acuna. They got there, I think, last week. But they're all over the streets.
Are they, do you know what country of origin?
Yeah, well, I know from a little bit from the processing facility that we've already had some from the Congo in Africa. And so this is what I think is happening. There's so many males over there because for our facility to take you, you have to be a family unit. To my knowledge, these are not family units. They're just African males. And not only that, they're African and Dominican. The last week, they've seen a huge amount, just almost out of nowhere, of African and Dominican.
The Dominican Republic, which is the island
Yeah.
just off? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if family is the key, is there the risk that these guys will be looking for a child to claim to be their family? Or
Look, I mean, I think in my opinion, there's always that risk. I know I have personally dropped off a few people at the airport that have said, oh, they're father and son, and you can just eyeball them and say, no. I mean, this guy's got worn, tattered clothes, look like he crawled up out of the jungle, and you look like you're from a rich family. You're 6'1", and he's, 5'2".
oh,
Extremely dark-skinned, you're extremely light-skinned. Y'all aren't even, I mean, so some of these things you can eyeball, but I don't really, I don't know how the Border
so
Patrol
if you
is
question
doing the
something like
testing.
that, are you supposed to? Well, but where do you draw the line? Because I know your father just said that if one of them says that they're not family, then y'all call the Border Patrol.
Right.
But what, like you're bringing up, if it's a circumstance where it appears it's not a match, is there anything y'all can do, or do you have to just go with what's given?
See, the thing is, if it appears that they're not a match, I'd be calling the Border Patrol every few minutes, just because there's so many unknowns right here. A lot of the people, a lot of the Border Patrol, they're receiving so many people now that some of them are coming without manifests. So they're dropping off 10, 20 with no sheet of paper, no names, no nothing. They're just dropping people off. They were dropping them off with manifests. So you can tell that the Border Patrol are getting more inundated. We're receiving more people, overnighters, and more from everywhere. We used to be just getting them from a few facilities. Now they're coming from here, various times of the day, different groups, and so it's a lot different. And the uptick of people it's definitely is coming up. There's more happening now. And the issue that's that I see coming to bear is that it's the summer. Most of the people working at that facility have families, that are volunteers.
Yes.
And so they're having, it's a little bit harder now to find consistent volunteers now. And so, you'll have 60 people there with one volunteer. And the police, the fire department, of course, they will schedule a person there, but that person's typically outside in the center area waiting where all the doors converge. So, you can find yourself with a lot of people with very few people working. Luckily, we haven't had any that I know where people are being belligerent or anything. They all just want to wherever they're trying to go. And they're glad to be here, but, you know, that's a lot of people for just a few volunteers.
That's true. Now, you naturally run with a younger dynamic of the population, and you're
Right.
also a youth pastor, so you have even younger. What are you hearing? What's the pulse in that area?
Yeah, well, I hear from the parents and from the kids, and from, you know, me being young, I'm on social media too, so I hear from the community as well. And they understand that we have to do something, that when people show up, they can't just run around in the streets. That'd be the worst thing.
Yeah.
But they typically don't like what's happening. People don't want, in a town this small, for this many people to just be showing up. It almost seems unfair. And then you're hearing things like, well, you know, I was homeless for a year and Del Rio had no place for me to go, and now all of a sudden they have this. And
Yeah.
then you hear, well, they should be taking care of our veterans first, which I agree with all of
Yeah.
that, but there's not 5,000 veterans showing up, you know, all of a sudden here. So you kind of just have to say, you know, we got to deal with what's going on right now. You know, we could all argue about this back and forth for forever. And so, what I hear mostly is that there is an enormous amount of concern with the youth, with the, you know, like I have daughters and they're not going to Stripes anymore in the evening because there's people there. There's guys there. There's people outside there. There may be a big group there, and it's just not
not safe.
something I would consider myself as safe for them to just go by themselves, go into the Stripes by themselves anymore. So now if they go to that Stripes at night, because that's where the Greyhound drop is, and sometimes people are there overnight until the morning, till the bus comes. Now I have to, you know, go with them, or I take them somewhere else.
Yeah,
typically.
absolutely.
So, yeah, there is this rise of concern that there needs to be, you know, we need to be safe. And myself, talking to Border Patrol agents, I understand that when you've got Border Patrol tied up doing this thing with people who may not be a humongous threat, the people who are a threat, they're doing something.
Yeah.
You know, where are they? We're not hearing as much about them.
That just
Well,
makes sense, you
Yeah.
know, that this is the distraction, this is
Right.
the pull, so you're not looking where the bad guys are gonna go.
And this crisis is funding people who do not want good for us. They're paying coyotes to bring them to places. These guys work for the cartels. They work for the, you know, bad organizations, transnational criminal organizations. And they're benefiting off of this. And so, you know, I just heard that Trump put a 5% tariff on Mexico. I imagine something will change pretty quick, because you've got a lot of companies who are shipping goods and doing manufacturing over here, and Mexico needs that money. So that's something will change, in my opinion.
All right, Michael, is there anything else that we need to know?
Yeah, just what, final thing I would like to say, and just what I would like everybody to know, is that wherever most people lie on this issue, most people want something done. We're getting to where you can't just ignore this, because even the people that are going wherever they're going all over the United States. So you're going to have large numbers of people who are in every state. They're going to be everywhere. And so if our politicians, that's who the majority of the animosity is towards. They want something done. And I feel like the majority of them feel like that Washington is just not listening. I don't know, they're not doing anything. Maybe it's the disagreement in Washington that's keeping things from getting done, but something needs to happen. We love people. I mean, I work for a church. We love people. Jesus loves people. But there has to be order to this, or bad things happen. And so, though I love people, I also have a family, and I'm not just about to open my door to let anybody in if I don't know you. If I don't know
Absolutely.
you, you're staying outside of my door unless God tells me, let that person in. So we love people, but somebody's got to do something. And if something is not done, then there will be repercussions down the road. There will be problems. And I expect in the political landscape for some things to change because things have not been done. So that's all I really have to say to wrap it up.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks again for your time, and thank you for what you're doing for your community, and which is, you're on the front lines for our country. So,
And I pray, me and my wife go to that border, me and my friends go to that fence, and we just stand
Yeah.
there and pray. That's my main thing that I do, is
that's awesome.
just declare the word of the Lord over that. I believe that that our spiritual weapons are far greater than our natural weapons. So
Amen.
as long as we keep that line up, then earth will have to follow suit with what's happening in heaven, I think. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome.